You just got back from a long day of school and have a lot to study but zero motivation or energy. Trust me, I've been in this situation so many times, and it wasn't until I tried out these 6 tips that I've finally been able to get so much more done in so much less time. Tip 3 in particular saved me during the midterms, and I'm sure it will do the same for you. So without further ado, why don't we dive straight into the tips. Tip 1. Swap start times for deadline. We've all said it. I'll just watch one episode of Netflix at 4 and stop at 5. Before you even know it, 5 becomes 7 and you still haven't even touched your textbook. The truth is, most of us don't really stick to start times. What actually lights a fire under us is the deadline. Instead of saying, I'll start studying at 5, change it into, I'll finish reading chapters 2 and 3 by 7. This simple change of mind really changes the way you think and increases your productivity drastically. It's because instead of pushing back an arbitrary start time, you're aiming to hit a target, which naturally creates a sense of urgency, preventing you from creating that last-minute panic to get your tasks done right before the deadline. Tip 2. Add some friendly pressure. This one's actually one of my favorite ones that I use all the time. Now that you've set deadlines, you still might feel that, well, lack of motivation, which is really hard to get rid of. And that's where a little bit of external pressure can start making wonders happen. Well, what exactly do I mean by this? Let me take you through a quick story. I once had to study for an upcoming test that was on Wednesday, but wanted to get it done by Monday so that I'd have more time off. To do this, I told my friend that I'd buy him a hot pot if I wasn't able to get through all my materials by Monday. If you didn't know, hot pot is a bit on the expensive side, and the last thing I wanted to do was pay for his meal, which is a bit mean, but is the truth. And before you even know it, I actually got this done before Monday, which really impressed me. Now, it doesn't have to be a hot pot. It can be bubble tea, maybe even 20 push-ups. I don't know. There's plenty of options. The key is to have a consequence that's painful enough to get you to meet your deadlines. Tip 3. Having a point system. Okay, now that you have something on the line to get your task done, you soon realize that you don't just have one task, you have 10 tasks. And you really can't imagine yourself buying 10 hot pots for your one friend just because you missed one day of work. That would be really good motivation, don't get me wrong, but it is also a tiny bit unrealistic. What I did during final season to combat this was by making a checklist with a bunch of checkboxes that could keep track of my many tasks and responsibilities. I then kept track of these checkboxes, making them worth 1 to 3 points, and in total accumulating around 20 points. I then told my friend that if I wasn't able to at least get 17 out of my 20 points, I'd have to get him bubble tea. Let's be honest, we're not robots here, and no matter how hard we try, we probably won't be able to get all of our tasks done, even if we had something major on the line. That's why I accounted for this by allowing for a bit of leeway in the point system. Okay, now you have an amazing 3-step system that will help keep you accountable for studying. But how exactly are you going to actually retain this knowledge in your study sessions? Well, luckily, these next 3 tips will really help with that. Step 4. Summarize all your notes and only focus on the big picture. Sometimes reading an entire textbook word for word and copying each word down can be a bit meticulous and time-consuming. And let's be honest here, as productive as we feel while doing this, chances are we won't actually be retaining most of the information. Instead of copying things word for word, try getting another sheet or iPad, then try rewording and refining the passage into your own words. This forces your brain to actually absorb the concepts a lot better, and your future self will definitely see the benefits of implementing this study technique. Let's take this quick passage on photosynthesis as a quick example. As you can see, there's a lot going on in this passage, and not all of it is that useful. To summarize it, you can try making these quick little bullet points in order to tell yourself what's really important. You'll also be able to flip through these notes a lot faster in the future and get your brain to trigger the deeper memories, which will instantly spark the deeper details in the passage. Tip 5. Teach your study materials to someone else. Now that you have all of your notes summarized, one of the best techniques I use after is to try rewording this information to teach someone else. For me, I think it's best to try and teach a friend that doesn't really know the concepts yet. This way, you can really see if your explanations are making sense by kind of looking at their reactions. If they're not getting it, maybe it's clear that you kind of need to review your notes to really understand the process a bit better. By executing this step, you're actually forcing your brain to break down your processes into chunks that are understandable. It's like the final test to see if you really understand what you just learned. Don't worry if your friend doesn't get what you're trying to say the first time. It really happens to all of us, and it's just a part of the process. Now the final tip. Tip 6. Try using the quizzing app Anki right before you go to bed. My favorite tool for actively recalling and learning new information, like maybe new vocabulary when learning languages like Mandarin Korean, is actually Anki. It's an app that uses spaced repetition to quiz you on flashcards at just the right intervals. This really helps you memorize things a lot faster and also helps you prevent cramming. Now here's a really special trick that will actually help you memorize things more effectively with Anki. Try using the app right before you go to sleep. If you didn't know, while we sleep, our brains actually organize a bunch of new information that we learn throughout the day. Whether you're memorizing some new vocab or grammar, a quick Anki session right before your sleep can actually solidify that new information in your brain, and you'll be surprised how much information you know once you wake up. For me, I kind of use this to memorize lyrics for songs in languages I don't know, like Chinese, and sometimes I'm really surprised how I just magically memorized everything while I was sleeping. Now, that's pretty much all the tips. If you made it to the end, let me know which tip you found most helpful, or any other tips you think others might find helpful as well. Studying is pretty hard, so let's all help each other and get through these crazy study sessions together. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that it helped. See you all in the next video. Bye!